It takes a special kind of player to do this in the 87th minute of a tied match in the Champions League.
A player called Roony may have just scored the winner against Manchester United.
This is Roony Bardghji, Barca's newest signing. That goal against United made him one of the youngest goal scorers in Champions League history. For a while, he was one of the most sought after teenagers in world football. If you ever played Football Manager, you would know about him. If you didn't, then let me introduce you. He has been called a lot of names over the years. The new Roony, Swedish Messi. But Bardghji doesn't want to be the next anybody. He specifically told The Athletic that. He wants to rise to the top with his own name. But he does want to be the best player in the world and play for the biggest teams. Well, he is now one step closer to that dream. Who is this confident teenager that Barca are signing, and how much can he improve the club? Well, to begin with, Bardghji is a massive Messi fan. I mean, who isn't? There are pictures of him as a toddler in a Barca shirt, standing over a ball almost as big as him. He had Messi posters on his walls. He would watch his highlights for hours on YouTube.
Den här videon till exempel har jag sett kanske 1000 gånger, så det var jag bara repeterar om det.
I've always watched Messi, Roony said. I tried to do the same on the pitch. I just love Messi. Well, that makes two of us, buddy. But while his love for Messi is normal, his rise to the top is not your typical story. Born in Kuwait City to Syrian parents, he grew up playing football in the streets and training alone with his father. He didn't play for a proper club until he moved to Sweden at 6 years old. And even then, it was only him, his brother, and his mother. His dad had to initially stay behind. During these tough times, football provided Roony with comfort. Him and his brother made friends through the game and learned the language within months. At 12 years old, he actually caught Tottenham Hotspur's eye and went on a trial in London. While there, he impressed, scoring 3 goals and providing 2 assists in a 6-1 win against Ipswich Town. For Bardghji, this was a great experience. It was an opportunity to see the level of football outside Sweden and see how bigger clubs operated. Then on his 15th birthday, he made a big move. He left the Swedish club Malmo to join Copenhagen in Denmark. But his family didn't move in with him. They actually stayed in Sweden. That meant that Roony had to wake up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, take a long train ride across the Øresund Bridge, go to school in Denmark, then train with his new team. So he would basically get home at 8:30 at night every single day. It was long, hard days, barely any rest. But he knew that these were the moments that were going to define his future. He ended up making his senior debut for Copenhagen in the Danish Superliga on November 21st, 2021, becoming the youngest player to feature at the club. He was 16 years and 6 days old. It's funny because this is actually a huge achievement, but at Barca, being 16 years old, it's like being an unk. Soon we're gonna see 12-year-olds making their debut. But for the rest of the world, a 16-year-old playing senior football is insane. In fact, the Danish league doesn't let you play until you are 16. Just 7 days after his debut, he scored his first goal for the club, becoming the league's youngest goal scorer. From that moment, he would go on to make 84 appearances for the first team, scoring 15 goals. The numbers are actually quite impressive given that he was primarily used as an impact sub. He wasn't started much, because you have to keep in mind he was still a young kid, not yet a finished article. Yamon fried our expectations, man. Teenagers are not supposed to be this good right away. They're supposed to slowly develop their game, become better and better, and then hopefully hit their prime in their mid-20s. What was impressive about Bardghji is that even off the bench, he loved to score in big moments. Take his performance in the game against Brøndby, for example. Copenhagen vs Brøndby is one of the fiercest rivalries in Scandinavia. It's Danish El Clasico, yet Bardghji turned this hostile environment into his own playground. He scored a 98th minute equalizer in front of the hostile away crowd. In September of the next year, he returned to the same stadium for the same fixture. This time, Copenhagen found themselves down 2-1, and it was Bardghji who dug them out. He came off the bench and scored twice to win it. His second goal won the game, but it was the first goal that made all the headlines. A brilliant timed run and finish, and then the celebration, bowing in front of the pissed off Brøndby fans. Same stadium, same match, same result. I bet Brøndby fans are very excited that they don't have to deal with this guy anymore. By the way, silencing the home fans after destroying them? Now where have I seen that before? With him loving big moments, it doesn't come as a surprise that he began to shine in the Champions League as well. Copenhagen were playing Manchester United and the game was tied 3-3, but Bardghji wasn't afraid of the intensity of the match at all. Instead, Instead, the pressure actually made him better. He demanded the ball, and then when he got it, he drove at Harry Maguire. He got himself a bit of space on the outside and tried to cross it in, but Onana parried it. Now the ball was still in play on the other side, and Bardghji noticed that he was completely free, so he starts to call for it. The cross doesn't reach him, it's a bit short, but Maguire and that big head of his heads the cross straight into Bardghji's path, and he volleyed it in.
Copenhagen! And it is that story. A player called Rooney may have just scored the winner against Manchester United.
Now I know scoring against United might not seem like a big achievement given how garbage they are, but that goal made him just the 15th player in Champions League history to score before turning 18. A list that includes names like Benzema, Google Benzema 15 for more info, Bellingham, and Pedri. It was that goal that really put Roony Bardghji on the map. By the way, can we acknowledge how actually rare it is for players to score in the Champions League before turning 18? If you look at the list of the 15 players, the majority of them went on to have great careers. Now, from what I've researched and watched, Bardghji's game is basically tailor-made for Barcelona. He's a left-footed right winger, the classic inside forward who loves to cut in and glide past defenders. Where have I seen that before? It's funny, you can always tell which players were inspired by Messi. You watch him dribble and it makes perfect sense that he spent hours watching Messi comps. But keep in mind, he's nowhere near as explosive and quick as Messi. I see this guy more like a Swedish Iniesta in the sense that he isn't the most athletic player, but he's so good on the ball and so intelligent that he can easily get by defenders. He's nimble, sharp, with insane balance and close ball control. He creates space when none exists. Like I said, he's not lightning fast, but his low center of gravity and quick feet make him so slippery and unpredictable. What helps him be so creative and spontaneous on the ball is the fact that he didn't play competitive or organized football until he moved to Sweden at the age of 6. So at his core, he's a street baller, someone who learned the game playing with his boys on the street, learning the fundamentals. Finding players that play football with that sort of freedom and joy is becoming rarer and rarer in the modern game. He really is one of those players who as soon as he gets the ball, everybody gets up. You're just expecting something magical to happen. And it's not just the dribbling. Rooney sees passes others don't. He can score, he can assist, and he links up with the play with a maturity way beyond his years. The vision from Deco and Flick looks pretty simple. This guy is coming in to be the backup right winger for Yamal. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, Yamal played a lot of football in 2025. He played over 4,500 minutes. He essentially got no rest. The only time he wasn't used was when he physically couldn't play because he was injured. And that isn't sustainable. When you're in 4 different competitions, when there's midweek games and Copa del Rey matches and Champions League football, Flick needs to be able to rotate without seeing a drop off in quality. Look at Barca's results between when Yamal was playing and when he was out. You can't have that going forward. You need another right winger that can create magic. And Bardghji provides all of that. He's the same profile of winger as Yamal, a left-footed magician who can cut in, someone who can create and score. Just like Yamal, he's the type of player that when you give him the ball, you can just sit back and watch him cook. He feels right at home running at defenders and being in 1v1 situations. Because of how good he is on the ball and his lack of explosiveness, he could also be really good in the number 10 position. Now Barca already stacked there with Olmo and Fermin Lopez, so I doubt he actually moves in there, but he is versatile enough to flourish in different roles. It's very much a low risk, high reward signing. The risk is that he gets injured again. He missed the entire 2025 year due to a knee injury that he got during training in early May of 2024, which sucks because when he was healthy, he was in the double digits for goals. So he has the ability, it's just that his development got stalled because of multiple injuries. That risk though is minimized due to the price tag. A couple of mil is a lot of money for you and me, but for Barca, it's pennies. And worst case scenario is he gets injured and they end up with the same amount of depth that they had before they signed him. Best case scenario, this turns out like the Pedri signing and Barca just picked up one of the world's best talents for pennies on the dollar. Cause you guys have to realize that Bardghji was a player who at 15, 16 years old was wanted by every club in the world. All the scouts knew about him, but because of his contract running out, plus his injury situation, his price came down tremendously, but his ability hasn't gone anywhere. And when you look at Barca's track record, these low risk, high reward signings tend to be some of their best pieces of business. You should actually be scared when Barca spend big, not when they pick up these teenagers for small fees. Like I said, worst case scenario, he turns into Ansu Fati, but on significantly lower wages. Best case scenario, he turns into a star. Either way, it's very low risk for Barca. Even if they only get a few good performances from him, they can easily sell him for more than what they paid for him. From what I've seen though, the guy fits the team like a glove. Technically gifted, excellent on the ball. He can develop easily under Flick, around better players. He can be great as a super sub, as a rotational option. It gives Barca more quality, more options in their attack. And by now we have seen that Flick is like steroids for attackers. You give him players that can run and are good on the ball, and he's going to significantly increase their output. Ferran Torres looked like he couldn't play football, and then under Flick he got more goals and assists than Ballon d'Or contender Vinny. At this point, how could you not believe in any winger when the German is the manager? Have Rooney play in those early Copa del Rey matches, or in those La Liga matches before a big Champions League fixture midweek. I can see him cooking in any of those fixtures because he's fantastic against those haram low blocks. He is the perfect weapon against those teams that defend like if they lose, their family gets slaughtered or something, because he's so good in tight spaces. But keep in mind, he can also punish teams in transition with no problem. And he's not just some aesthetic dribbling merchant. When the ball drops to him, he knows how to bang it into the back of the net. With more consistent game time and a Hansi Flick system, expect this guy's numbers to go up, as long as he stays healthy, of course. The other thing I like about Bardghji is his mentality. He already has the attitude of a winner. He made it very clear he doesn't want to be the next anyone. He just wants to be himself. Yamal has that same mentality. Then Rooney was very clear that he wants to be the best player in the world. And based on reports, his work ethic matches that desire. Coaches say that he's one of those guys who's always the last to leave training. Fans who've watched Copenhagen see him practicing free kicks alone, long after his teammates had gone. And his work ethic has shown. I mean, at just 16, he became Copenhagen's youngest ever debutant and the Superliga's youngest ever scorer. By 18, he had 10 goals for the first team, and one of the most iconic goals in the club's history, that winner against United. This is a kid who bowed in front of enemy fans after flipping a derby on its head in 10 minutes. That's Roony Bardghji. He is a player who isn't afraid of the occasion. He isn't afraid of pressure. By the way, his name is not related to Wayne Rooney at all. He gets that question a lot because his brother's name is Ryan. So a lot of people think he's named after Rooney and his brother's named after Ryan Giggs. There is no correlation to Manchester United. Bardghji is smart, he knows 4 languages. According to reports, he's a very nice, polite guy off the pitch, but fearless on it. He was smart enough and believed in himself so much that he turned down the chance to rush into bigger clubs just to get consistent minutes in Denmark. He's a hard worker. Who else is commuting across a national border for training and waking up at 5:30 a.m. every single day? Bardghji isn't a finished product, but that's to be expected. He's a 2.5 million euro signing, not a 60 million euros one. His defensive work needs some polishing. He isn't physically dominant yet. At Copenhagen, he would often be inconsistent. Some games he would look like Swedish Messi, other times you would forget he's on the pitch. But Barca didn't sign this guy for what he is today. They signed him for who he's going to become. The sky is the ceiling for him. And what club is better for developing technically gifted players than Barca, the home of beautiful football? It doesn't matter that this guy was inconsistent, because at Barca, he won't be relied upon week after week. There are other guys on the team who have that pressure on their shoulders. He just has to work hard and take advantage of every minute he gets. Like any signing, it's a gamble, but it's a gamble that's well worth trying because this kid has the potential to be Barca's next great star. In fact, the club took this very similar risk years ago when they signed Pedri from Las Palmas. To see how Pedri went from this unknown talent in the Canary Islands to the best central midfielder in the world, you have to check out this video right here.